Twinkle, twinkle, electric star, yonder goes Brady on an electric car, making his way to the freedom line. He's gonna kill him a sucker like a bulldog man.
Hi, I'm George Lovington, and welcome to Around Talbot with George, our latest adventure. We are in Easton, and we're at Tharp. And most of you will know it, recognize it for its antiquities. And we have some special things going on, and with us is the manager of all of this, the one who puts it all together and has all the creativity. Dee Dee Wood is your name, and it's a pleasure working with her. She's a lot of fun. She's very intelligent, and she asked if we do this because they have something special going before Christmas. So, Dee Dee, welcome to Around Talbot with George.
Thank
Fun
you.
having you.
Thank you.
We do a lot of kidding. So, what are you setting up for the holidays now?
So on November 19th, which is a Saturday at 5 o'clock, we have a special show down here at the Talbot Historical Society, which is sponsoring Tharp Antiques. We're one and the same. What our show is English monumental brass rubbings and early American tombstone rubbings. I have a few examples here that I can show people, and we can talk a little about them.
Okay, good. I'm interested.
Okay. English monumental brass rubbings, there's over 4,000 brasses, is what they're called, in England alone. They're all over Europe for the most part. A lot of Americans don't know what brass rubbings are, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to tell people a little bit about them. Tombs that go early as 1300s in Europe had effigies put on top of them made out of brass. So instead of a tombstone, you would have a monument put on top of your tomb. Now they were in brass. They have kind of a negative effect. So in later years, usually they were more popular in the 60s and 70s, people would take rolls of paper, put them on top of these brasses and rub them. And this is the effect that you get. It's almost like a print that you can do. So these are called monumental brass rubbings because they're rubbed off of monuments. But the important thing about them is they record a little bit of everything. So you can do them in all different colors. A lot of people frame them. But the important thing about brass rubbings is it records a lot of history, especially of early medieval Europe, where there are no written records sometimes. There's these pictorial records that show battle armor, gear, what people look like, even fashion. So it's a snapshot in time sometimes when there is no written record.
It's fascinating. So if we go through Europe, you'll see these.
Yes. Now, it used to be that you could rub them. They were widely available. People would use something called highball wax, and you would use paper and rub them. But they were rubbed so much that they were starting to degrade the brass.
Right.
And so now they're usually not allowed without explicit permission. Now, in the 70s here in America, they had rubbing centers for people who couldn't get to Europe. But recently those have kind of declined. These come and go in popularity, but there's something a lot of Americans don't know about, and they're really an incredible piece of history. Now, in conjunction with this, we also have something as part of this lecture. We're talking about early American tombstone rubbings, which was brought over. They're European design. A lot of tombstones have really different carvings and symbolism and that sort of thing. So we're including it in this because they're all very old ways to honor the dead.
Yeah, just real quick, I
Sure.
know it's probably I'm off the wall here, but what is this symbol? It's a man, I can see that.
It's a man, so a lot of these...
Is he supposed to be a warrior, or?
He is probably a knight. A lot of them were. They were honored, so when they were depicted on their brasses, they were in their full battle armor. A lot of times you'll see pets and things that were really important to them. It's also symbolism, so lions represent England, that sort of thing. So this is what he would want to have been depicted as a fierce warrior, great equipment for fighting, and he's in his full regalia here.
What is this one? What does this depict?
This one is also a knight. He has a little higher status. You can also see in this what I was saying earlier, that you can see the hair and the way that they dressed and wore their hair and clothing and that sort of thing. He's also a knight. He's in his full battle armor. And a lot of times these are symbolisms of places and areas they were from in Europe. You'll see a lot of that sort of thing. But most of them are very stylized. They're very stiff. They're coming out of that Byzantine era where art is still very stiff. And they're really symbolic most of the time. Did the person actually look like this? Probably not, but it's an idealized form of what they probably wanted to appear as on their tombs, which were forever. Another little interesting fact about brasses, a lot of times when they investigate them in Europe, they'll find that they've been flipped over and reused because brass was expensive. So, 200 years down the road, if there wasn't brass available, they'll flip them and reuse them as well. So. Interesting factoid about
this is really, I never knew this. This is really interesting.
And they make a really nice print. So that's why their popularity continues on into modern times, because it's historic and you can also make a really good print off of it and frame it as well. So
this is fantastic. How many of these do you have?
I personally have about 25 in my own collection. Tharp will have for sale during our event probably about 15.
15. Is this one?
It is. Now they also did females. So she's in her full medieval gown. A lot of times they'll do this butterfly headdress that she's wearing. And you can, a lot of times too, and I don't have any with me today, but a lot of times in the female rubbings, you'll see their pets depicted down here in their daily life. So it was her status and her symbol in society was her clothing. So they've made sure that you see her rich material and gown here with her fabulous headdress as well.
Fantastic. It really is beautiful.
Now, also too, with early American tombstone rubbings, there's a lot of symbolism. Just like these have symbolism, the early American tombstone rubbings, which a lot of those people came over here from Europe, so they carried some of these symbols with them. So you'll see things like evergreen trees, which is everlasting life, willow trees, which is to weep no more. So you'll see a lot of symbolism in those tombstone rubbings as well. And it's a good segue to show how the early Americans brought over their European customs.
Great. So there are chances of finding this out in America.
There aren't actually brass tombs here in America. They did replicas. It used to be up at the National Cathedral in D.C. There was a time where you could rub a replica. They no longer do that. But people do collect these in America, probably more than Europe at this point, because there's something kind of fascinating and quaint.
No, it is fascinating. I like to know who the symbol is. Who is this man? Who is this woman?
Right. All of them are documented.
Oh,
yes, all of them are documented. In fact, on the back of this one, his name is Richard Fowler from 1460, and he's coming out of St. Mary's Church in England. So most of the time when people rub these, they also rub where they rub them and when. This lady has written that she rubbed this in May of 1972. So most of them are documented and who they are. I mean, there's literally, like I said, over 4,000 of them just in England alone still in existence.
So how many of these are you going to have?
I think that we'll have probably around 15 for sale.
15 for sale. Okay.
Yes, and a few more to consider.
Fantastic. Keep that in mind. 15. Yeah, this is great. I've never heard of it.
Great.
This is.
So I would like to reiterate, we still have tickets available. It's November 19th. It's Saturday at 5 o'clock. You do have to call and reserve a spot. It's an RSVP only. And you can do so by calling us at 410-820-7525.
820-7525.
We're filling up
I'm
quickly.
getting older. I keep telling you that. You got to slow down a little bit here. This is fascinating, and I'd really like to see some more of the British.
Yes.
Because that. What, is Britain the only one who did it?
No, they're all over Europe. There's a lot of them in Belgium, and there's some round ones in Belgium. They're very interesting. I actually have a few of those we'll be showing for the show on the 19th. But I'd say the majority of them that you see here in the States are from England, just because there's so much English heritage here in the States. But they're from all over Europe. There's German ones. There's some in France. Now, an interesting little side note on France. They had a lot of brass rubbings, but during the French Revolution, a lot of them were melted down and destroyed by the Patriots. So a lot of those
That
antiquities
was
from France.
intelligent, right?
There are still some rubbings left from them, but not many. So French rubbings are very rare.
This really, really interesting. I have no knowledge of this. This is really great.
A lot of people don't, and that's why we're bringing it to light here. We think people will be
That's a
interested.
good idea.
Thank you.
Anybody, just if you have questions or anything, please contact her. Dee Dee will bring you up to speed. But this is going to be Saturday,
Saturday, November 19th at 5 o'clock.
November 19th, 5 o'clock. Be here. This is really great. And anything else we got going here today?
We have Waterfowl Festival coming up this weekend, so
Yes,
we're
we
very
do.
packed and we're ready to sell things, and it's one of our biggest weekends here supporting the Talbot Historical Society.
You look kind of loaded here.
Yes.
You've got a lot of things going. Anything special you don't want to talk about?
We try to carry higher end items in the store at reasonable prices. So we do have a lot of things that people would recognize, like Waterford crystal. We sell a lot of clocks.
And my wife recognized that.
Yes.
You know
We
that.
sell really good jewelry. I mean, we have a little bit of everything. We're a consignment store, so every Tuesday, you never know what might come in.
Fantastic. Did everybody hear that? Every Tuesday. This is really beautiful. You've done a good job.
Thank you.
I love your the way you've set it up and displayed it. This is
Thank you. And when you shop at Tharp Antiques, you support the Talbot Historical Society, so you're supporting history with every purchase.
Say that again.
When you shop at Tharp Antiques, you're supporting history because you're supporting the Talbot Historical Society.
You all got that? This is really good. This really is. And even without my sick humor, this is really a fascinating place. You can come in here, and husbands, be aware you will be here for a while. Yeah, you're smiling. You got my wife totally involved. These are really nice items, and Dee Dee does display them. She sets all this up, and it's beautiful the way you do it.
Thank you.
It really is. You got a real
Thank you.
fix for this. You know, you really do. It's good. Okay, anything else you'd like to say?
Just remember, November 19th, 5 o'clock.
November
Reserve
19th,
tickets.
5 o'clock, remember. Now, this is good, and I thank you very much
Thank
for
you
allowing
very
us to come
much.
in and do this. Anyone have any questions, contact Dee Dee here at Tharp, right downtown Easton. Dee Dee, thank you.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure
Thanks so much for
working
coming
with you
out.
again. Okay. I'm George Ludington, and I'll be talking to you later when I get around Talbot.